You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. The interview subject that I have coming up for you, it's a legend. We have so many legends on this little indie podcast of mine. This one is the guitarist in Corrosion of Conformity. His name is Woody Weatherman. He's been there since the bloody beginning. And the reason for the chat with Woody is to promote the 2020 tour of Australia by the band Corrosion of Conformity. Now, I know the first date doesn't occur in Australia, but I'm going to read it out anyway. It's in New Zealand on Tuesday the 4th of Feb at Galatos in Auckland, Wednesday the 5th of Feb in Adelaide. So we've crossed the ditch now. We're in Australia. All these dates are Australian. Wednesday the 5th of Feb, Adelaide. You've got one at Lion Arts Factory. Thursday the 6th, Perth. You've got one, Amplifier Bar. Friday the 7th, Melbourne. You've got one at Max Watts. Saturday, yes, got a gig on Saturday here in Brisbane, the 8th of Feb at Crowbar. I will certainly be at that show. And finally, Sydney, unusually, you've got a Wednesday show, 12th of Feb at Crowbar. I think the band must be living it up between the Brisbane and Sydney show, and more power to them for doing that. So here he is, anyway, Woody Weatherman from the outfit Corrosion of Conformity. Hey Woodrow, it's Andy Mackay-Smith calling for our chat. How you going?
Hey, brother. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm pretty good. My apologies for my voice. It sounds like as though I've been screaming at a football match, but I actually just went to see Obituary, Trevor and the guys in Obituary last night.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I didn't even realise that I'd screamed myself hoarse. But there you go. Must have enjoyed it. You know?
Yeah, I love those guys, man. They're good friends of ours, man. Really cool dudes.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, let me tell you, mate, they have not slowed down one bit. They are still as menacing and as massive as a steamroller on bloody, rolling down a hill without brakes, mate. It was an incredible show.
That's awesome.
But, mate, you guys are coming down here too, man, and I've got to tell you, as you hopefully know, and some of the journalists before me might have already expressed, but you do have a fan base down here, a very positive fan base, meaning that they are looking forward to you coming down, and I'm included in that. And I've got to say, mate, the latest album, No Cross, No Crown, it's probably the album that I have enjoyed the most out of yours, and I'm an old fan. I go back to
oh wow,
go back to Deliverance, and I'm not as old as a lot of, but in Australia where we sort of got things a bit later back in the '90s, got Deliverance, love the album, Wise Blood, classic stuff. But this one here, mate, I think might be your best. So you've had an incredible career, Woody. You really have. You must have a tremendous sense of accomplishment in what you've been able to achieve so far.
I have a tremendous sense of appreciation for what you were just talking about. The fans, that have made it all possible. Obviously we could, play guitar till we're blue in the face and write albums till we're blue in the face. But if nobody supported us and bought them and came to the shows, it really wouldn't. It allows us to keep going, So my tremendous sense is a sense of appreciation. But yeah, I'm proud of the band and just proud that we're still here. Just the fact that we're able to come back to Australia again. The last time we came as a 4-piece was 19 years ago, and supporting Pantera. It's been that long. It's crazy, and I don't know why the hell it's been so long, but it has. But we're going to make up for it. We're coming back, and we're all extremely excited, to make it back and be able to play all these tunes. I think we've got a selection brewed up from all the some of the albums you just mentioned in your when you were just speaking a second ago. But just trying to keep it real, like our Obituary brothers.
Well, I've got to ask this, mate. You're the primary songwriter, I guess, right the way along with the tremendous riffs that you brought into the band. So, did you write No Cross, No Crown principally yourself, and just bring the other guys in to sort of fill it out for you?
No. To be honest, man, I am one of the songwriters. I do contribute, but we all do. It's a team effort, especially I would say maybe this last album more than any others, because the majority of it was written in the studio.
Really? Wow.
We did not have hardly any material I mean, everybody always shows up with riffs and ideas and thoughts, but really, none of the songs, with the exception of maybe two, really existed before we hit the studio. And so it was a little bit different for us. We weren't like demoing songs, for months and figuring things out like we had done on previous albums, some of them, but it was a little more spontaneous, and I'd like to do the next one like that too. But really, I mean, everybody contributes, man. Mike's got monster riffs, of course. Pepper, monster riffs, and between he and Mike, they handle the lyrics.
Okay.
It's heavy on Pepper's end, but Mike Dean also chips in, and if the rare occasion pops up that I have a lyrical idea, I'll throw it out there, but that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, gotcha.
I pretty much just stick to the guitar,
Well, you do, but you do a bloody good job. And so, for example, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this, is it Mattress DM? That's yours, and that's a stunning piece.
Well, that actually, that particular instrumental is Pepper's.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of music, that one, mate. I really enjoy looking forward to listening to that on the album.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's another thing that we always enjoy doing, those little kind of instrumental, I don't know what you call them, interludes or whatever.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It was. I think we got some inspiration from Sabbath originally on that shit. Because how they would always have a couple of those things in there, and it was like it was inspirational for us. We've been doing that for years and years.
And you do it bloody well, and that alludes to something else, which is the quality of your back catalogue. You sort of mentioned it a bit up the front, but holy moly, mate, you got 10 studio albums, if I'm not mistaken. There are a bunch of EPs, some other compilations and the like, but, mate, how on earth do you pick an Australian set list?
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's tough, man. And every time you put out a new album, you want to at least address that album and support it. Have play a song or two, and so that's how we've been approaching it. We've been doing maybe a song or two off the new one, sometimes a couple more, but we love going back and grabbing a few off of Deliverance, Wise Blood, Volume Dealer, In the Arms of God. We've been jumping on some of those tunes that we haven't played in years and years, and just having a blast doing it. It's so much fun to be able really to have that back catalog to jump out of. But it's like you just insinuated. It can be a little hard to coming down to picking who gets to choose what song to put in the set list, but somehow or another, we make it happen.
Mate, I've got to ask, because I had a chat to him for the promotion of No Cross, No Crown, but how's Reed travelling?
Well, it's a little bit sad at the moment. He's been working on his health, and he's had a setback here very recently, but we're just all wishing him well.
Yeah.
And he's working on his health, and that's we think about him all the time, and just hope he can make it back, and continue like it was. But in the meantime, our good friend from Manchester, Great Britain, John Green, has been sitting in on the skins and just doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, I mean, I love Reed's drumming, I've got to say. I'm a bassist and a musician myself, and I think he's such a wonderfully musical drummer. He makes decisions behind the kit that very few other people do, I find. He's got a lovely swing about him. I mean, you play up there.
He does, man.
That swing that he's got, and very few drummers have that in rock and heavy metal.
Yeah, he definitely brings a swing. Reed is a phenomenal drummer. We just we're wishing him well, man.
Mate, you were talked about this a little bit too, but you are an outstanding guitarist, very influential, and I hope people have given you that feedback. But mate, what got you started on the guitar? Was it that typical, Tony Iommi, Led Zepp thing, or tell us how you got started?
Like everybody else, yeah. I mean, partially. I grew up. My father is a musician. I grew up he practices a completely different kind of music. A little more. They call it. The leaning more towards the bluegrass
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and what they call the old time Appalachian music. We're here in North Carolina, the old mountain music.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that, and he plays many instruments, but I wound up acquiring a guitar at a fairly young age, 14, 15 years old, something like that. But
Mm.
started out with an acoustic, and that didn't last long.
Yeah.
I was like, this fucking thing does not make enough noise. I need something that with a electrical cable on it. So
Yeah.
I upgraded to the electric guitar shortly thereafter, and luckily we found the right people early on, and it was a very short period of time before Corrosion of Conformity was rolling. So we started out as young men, and we're continuing on as not so young men. So but we're still here.
Isn't it interesting? I'm in my 40s, obviously, if I've been a fan for as long as I've been of the band. But I just didn't think we'd be here having conversations like this 25 years after the fact, when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm just so happy that bands such as yourself and Obituary, you're still out there, you're still doing everything. We've all got grey through our beards, let's face it, but we're all still as enthusiastic about it, you as a musician and me as a quasi-journalist type doing this. And
Well, it's true.
I'm just
Yeah.
so grateful for it, man.
Count me in there as well. I'm beyond grateful. It amazes me to, whenever we show up places and guys that probably come across very much as myself or yourself, with the gray and the beard, and there they are, and there they are with their young son or daughter,
Yeah.
bringing them to the show. So it's like it's very inspirational. It's a pleasure to see.
You spent a lot of time with Pantera on the road back in the day. I do remember. I didn't go to the gig back in the day with Pantera when you came down here in 2001 or two, I think it was. But I heard
It was 01. Yeah.
01.
Yeah.
There you go. I certainly heard a lot about it, and not so much from you guys there, but I think it was the tour, and I could be wrong here, but I'll ask it anyway. Where Pantera more or less completely imploded. I know some mates were out and about on the town, and they caught up with Diamond. He was in a foul mood after one of the gigs, and it was just a sad thing to sort of see from the sidelines. But was that your take on things as well?
It was. I mean, you could tell that there was some tension there, and it literally was like just about their last thing they did. I mean, they did one little short run to my recollection. Right after that, I believe in the U.S. or maybe it was a little short European run. I'm not sure, but it was over shortly thereafter. Yeah, it was one of their last things. But to be honest, we still had a fantastic time on that trip, and there was a lot of partying as well documented. I mean, Don was having a great time, and we obviously we were old friends with him already by that point, but. It was a very fun tour, but yeah, there was some tension there. You could see it bubbling up, and you could kind of tell that maybe the days of the band were numbered. So, but it was a real honor for us to be able to come down to Australia and New Zealand with them. And sadly, that was the last time, as I just mentioned, that we were there as a four-piece. It's so insane. That it's taken us this long, but here we come. We're coming anyway.
How great is the change in the band between the trio and the four-piece? I know Pepper's a force of nature, I mean, he's up there, he's very charismatic and all the rest of it. But from your perspective, being on stage, are they like being in two different bands?
Well, in some respect, I mean, anytime you throw another human in the mix, there's a different dynamic, And obviously, we spent so long traveling and recording as a four-piece. It's just a natural thing, and I mean, the downtime that we had, no pun intended, and we were able to scratch out a couple more three-piece records when Down was very busy for those several years.
That's right. Yeah.
We were always in touch with Pep, and and we even had the pleasure of the three-piece of playing on some festival dates with Down. And when that occurred, which was several occasions, he would come up and we would, do songs. He would come up and join us on stage, and we would do songs. And it was just, we all knew it was just a matter of time. We talked about it for a couple years before it actually
Yeah.
came together. But it was a matter of when the time was right,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether a lot of more recent fans will know that Pepper only joined the band in about 1990 or 1991 or so. You guys have been going for almost a decade beforehand.
Yeah, well, the band started in '82,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
to be honest, he came up in '89. He came up from New Orleans in '89 and pretty much joined the band then.
Okay.
So I mean, he's practically an OG. He's been there long enough
Yeah, definitely.
and then shortly thereafter we recorded the Blind album, which was actually released in '91. So
There you go. That's it.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
One of the ways that I remember getting into you guys was Kim Thale from Soundgarden used to wear a Corrosion of Conformity T-shirt.
Right.
You remember those days before the internet where the only way you sort of knew if a band was cool or not is if bands thanked them in their liners on their albums or if they wore the T-shirt. I mean, that's all you literally had to go on.
Right. Sometimes, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But do you still get a lot of your contemporaries? Because I really feel like Corrosion of Conformity is like a musician's band, if that makes sense. You get a lot of respect from fellow musicians.
Yeah.
Do you think that's been the case?
That's still, yeah. And sometimes it's very much reciprocated, like in the he's talking about Kim Thile and stuff. Of course, we had the pleasure of touring with those guys more than once, a couple of good tours. But yeah, and those guys, Kim, we go to Seattle, and Kim and Ben Shepherd still, they'll appear out of nowhere and they'll be at the show, and come and say hey and hang out and so so there's it's like those old friendships. And but yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, like a musician's band in some respects. Yeah. I mean, people have told me that before, and there's other bands that I think Soundgarden being one of them, where they're even though they have a massive fan base, I think they are also a musician's band, just because they're very, they're the rhythms and and the guitar work and everything is just so phenomenal. It draws you in.
Yeah, any band that has odd time signatures like what they had, that 7/8 time signature thing that they used to do. Generally speaking, that becomes a musician's band, I think, because we don't want straight ahead things. We want things to have a slight kink to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Look, good luck with everything and congratulations on an outstanding career so far. Long may you keep on doing what you're doing, and I'll certainly be in the crowd when you guys come down.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate the kind words, and it's a pleasure talking to you. And if you're at the gig, please feel free to pop up and say hello and introduce yourself, and it'll be a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you, brother. That's really kind of you. Yeah, I'll try and do that. No worries.
Okay, bro. Have a good day.
You too, mate. No worries. Thanks again. Cheers.
Yeah, man. All right.
Bye. You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. That interview subject was Woody Weatherman from the Carolina outfit. I suppose you'd call them that because most of the band are from there in the United States, although Pepper is a proud New Orleanian. I suppose that's the right term. I hope it is anyway. But the band, of course, is Corrosion of Conformity. What an outstanding band, and really enjoyed that conversation with Woody. Thanks so much for listening.